All Things Black with Garland and Calvin present Fanboys. Fanboys is a weekly breakdown of the sports world from a fan's perspective. Now, here are your hosts, Garland and Calvin.
All Things Black presents Fanboys. I'm Calvin, and as you can see, this guy over there is Garland. Like, we got a little new format here. We're doing like a little live podcast thing. So if you choose to, you can actually watch us, but you can just listen to us if you'd like. But anyway, how things going, Garland?
Nice little fresh haircut for the morning. When you said, we was going to be on camera. Normally we don't do this on camera. So, I ain't worried about the haircut and stuff. But I just happened to get the haircut yesterday. So I'm looking real crisp right now. No wonder I was getting those okay haircut from dudes.
Hey, Garland. Garland.
Yes.
Garland got dudes. What'd you say? He was like, yes, King.
Yes, King. Yes. Sir. Okay, sir. Like,
I'm gonna leave. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna leave that alone. Listen, a real quick funny story. So, of course, we played in Druid Hill Park. We actually that's how Garland and I met, playing softball in Druid Hill Park some years ago. But you remember Pole? I got Pole. Rest in peace, Pole. So Pole had a vanity license plate that actually said Pole on it. So one day he was coming to the park, and it was the LGBT. I guess at that time it wasn't all the other letters in it, but I think they just called it the gay parade and all at the park. So he said they had filled up the park, so he had to park away. In Druid Hill Park, there's not a whole lot of parking at those fields, so he had to park far away. He said when he was walking, they seen his license plate, and when he was walking, and Paul was a big dude, he wear tank top, big built up dude. He said he was walking to the field. He said they was like, hey, pal. I fell out laughing. He said I was hurrying up to them fields, man. I ain't want him to get me. I was like, sir, that's all you. You walking around, Mr. Sexy. They all like, hey.
He's about to become a munch.
Hey, man, but what we got going on today on our new video podcast show?
Yeah, we're going to talk some football. We got to recap the Super Bowl and everything what happened with that. We're going to talk about some of the latest hires as well, and we're going to talk a little basketball and stuff, not too much, but that football should probably hold us for a minute. And it's been the start of spring training this week, and so we're going to talk a little spring training and, talk about the Orioles and talk a little baseball and, let's get it popping.
All right, so let's get rolling.
Let's get rolling. Let's go ahead and jump right into the Super Bowl. And so I have to say, man, this is probably one of the more exciting Super Bowls. The Kansas City Chiefs defeat the Philadelphia Eagles 38-35 behind 3 touchdown passes from Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs win their second NFL title in 4 years, and two-time NFL MVP Mahomes earned his second Super Bowl MVP award. And so Mahomes and Jalen Hurts excelled in the first Super Bowl matchup featuring two starting black quarterbacks. In the losing effort, Hurts threw for 304 yards and ran for 3 touchdowns. And it was just an exciting game. And so let's just jump into it. Overall, where do you rank this Super Bowl in all-time Super Bowl games?
So if I'm just talking about this as an NFL fan, it's probably the second best Super Bowl in recent memory that I can remember, because I'm gonna have to give the Tom Brady comeback in against Atlanta the best Super Bowl I've ever seen, because that, at least for the second half, the end of the third quarter on, because that comeback was just amazing. But this was exciting from the beginning to the end. Now, if I'm being a homer, it's going to rank number 3, because I'm going to give my Ravens 2 Super Bowls the first 2 notches, and then I'm gonna give this one, because I'm gonna drop Tom Brady and the Patriots down because I hate them. But no, this was an excellent Super Bowl, man. Like you mentioned, the 2 black quarterbacks got in there and just showed off, man. It was a great Super Bowl from beginning to end. At one point, you thought that the Eagles were just going to run away with it. Then Mahomes gets hurt going into the second half. You just thought it was over for KC. And then next thing you know, KC comes out storming in the second half, and Mahomes is just killing it. But I thought it was a great Super Bowl. You know, a lot of people were like, Jalen Hurts could have won MVP in the losing effort,
Easily.
which he actually could have. However, it means a lot to watch Patrick Mahomes re-injure himself and come back and throw for 3 touchdowns in the second half. He did best Jalen Hurts in that end. So I understand Mahomes winning the MVP. But, yeah, it was a great Super Bowl.
Yeah, you know, I grew up in the era, man. Not that I'm 50 years older than you. But I remember when we were having those string Super Bowl blowouts, you know, the 85 Bears, the 49ers. They were winning like Super Bowls 55-10. When Doug Williams won that Super Bowl, that was a blowout of Denver. And so there was a period of time where like the game was anticlimactic. And I have to say the last several years, we have had very, very good Super Bowls, very competitive up to the end. I definitely will put this probably maybe in the top 15, top 20. I mean, it was enough suspense there. I guess it's more suspenseful when your team is involved. You know, I know the second Ravens Super Bowl, definitely, you know, family here, we partying, we feeling good. Then the lights go out, and then we praying to the end that Kaepernick don't bring them back. And so, yeah, you know, I would definitely put this in like a top 15 Super Bowl. I thought that Mahomes, whatever they gave him when he went in at halftime, you know, they must have the faith healer. Maybe they had TD Jakes in the locker room. I don't know. They had some praying oil. They had some root, something. He came out there and balled out. And so outside of the field being a little janky, and you saw, you know, the players' footing and everything,
right.
I just thought overall it was a solid game. I mean, Jalen Hurts came out and balled out on a big stage. You know, that was one of my concerns last week, was that, you know, is he going to be ready for the stage? And because his college experiences on the big level didn't always turn out successful. You know, he was pulled from national championship games, all of those particular things. But, he came to play. I think at the end, Philly's defense kind of let them down. What did you think about the holding call? Bradbury, he admits that he did hold Juju Smith-Schuster. And so, you know, did you agree with that?
So it was a hold. It was a hold. I do remember early in the game, it was a similar play, and they didn't call holding on it. So I'm one that's just more inconsistency. Like, if you're not going to call it here, don't call it there.
Right.
You know, I understand the whole, you can't call it in that spot, let the players decide. But it was a hold, you know, he almost damn near, actually he held him twice. And people say, well, the ball was overthrown. I think Mahomes just overthrew it because no one was open at that point because he was holding, but Juju might have broke away and caught that ball. So, you know, it was a holding. It was a holding. You know, it's just, you hate for that to be the focus of the game, but when they're egregious, I don't know how egregious that was, but it was obvious. But it wasn't like the roughing the passer call when KC beat Cincinnati in the AFC Championship game. You know, the KC benefits from the last two games with late penalties. But I mean, it's part of the game. You can't do it. Bradbury know he can't do it. That's why he admitted to it.
Yeah, I agree with that. At first, I was kind of like, you know, it's so ironic that Goodell during the week had pretty much supported the referees. He said, you know, this was one of the best called seasons by the referees. And then to have this happen and stuff, you know, it's kind of like, oh, wow, that's really, really, really crazy. But, I mean, overall, it could have went either way. You know, they could have just been like, oh, let them play. And then if they didn't score and Philly wins, then it's like, okay, well, that was an obvious penalty. Exactly. They didn't call it. And so, you know, it appears that they made the proper call in case he did enough to win the game. And so.
And it also goes to show you how fragile these games are, how they could turn on a dime. Jalen Hurts is rolling.
Certainly.
If he doesn't fumble that ball, and Kansas City scores that defensive touchdown, we may be talking about the Philadelphia Eagles in a blowout, actually, because they were rolling at that point. That was like a 14-point swing. That would have put them up for a 21-point swing, actually. That would have put them up 14. And,
Right.
you know, I you don't never know what's going to happen. But, yeah, man, the game is just it's such a good game, though. Like, it's just really good game.
Any other critical plays for you that happened in that game that you think, you know, really stood out for you? Besides that play on the
now the Eagles got the benefit of this in their NFC Championship game, but that ball that they overturned, that catch they overturned by Devonta Smith, I mean, it was so close, man. Like it was hella close. Now, if you remember in the NFC Championship game, he actually dropped the ball, but it wasn't a coach's challenge, so they were able to run up and make the play when the 49ers should have challenged that. This one, if you remember, the Eagles ran and they had a penalty. So that formation penalty gave Kansas City a chance to go ahead and challenge the play because they almost got away with it. So I think that was definitely a critical call. But again, on the refs, and I guess it was a good call. It was so hard to tell looking at all the replays. And usually if you can't tell, you go with the call on the field. The call on the field was a catch. So I guess they saw something that, you know, I thought it hit the ground and moved. But then I looked at it again. I was like, I'm glad I'm not a ref in this game. Not for that call.
Right. I think the fumble that Hurts had and the scoop and score, you know, they were on the roll. They were moving the ball that drive. And if they go down and score on that drive, I don't know, that might change the whole complexion of the game. And, you know, although they were able to get back in, tie the game up after, you know, blowing the lead after halftime, that one score really could have put Kansas City away early. But, you know, I think, you know, it's just a testament to the coaching of the KC Chiefs and Andy Reid and that staff there. And I know Bieniemy, we're going to talk about him in a little bit. He doesn't get enough credit. But I think it's a testimony in Steve Spagnuolo. They had just an excellent game plan. They didn't give up any sacks offensively. And they just played well enough. It was bend, but they didn't break at the end. And
they overcame even missing a field goal, a critical field goal in the game. Yeah, Kansas City they people are talking about they may not be quite a dynasty yet. I'm like, what are y'all watching?
They're a dynasty.
They've won 5. They've hosted 5 AFC championships.
I was getting ready to say that. Mahomes has never played a road playoff game.
Where are we saying this is not a dynasty? Because they haven't won as many Super Bowls. They've been to 3. They've won 2 of the 3. Like what?
Yeah, he's never played a playoff game on the road. They've always had home field advantage.
Yeah,
I don't know what a dynasty is.
Exactly. That's a dynasty. I'm lost.
That's a dynasty. Me too. All right, let me ask you this. This is a little bit off of the game. What did you think about the halftime show?
Hey, man, so I'm a Rihanna fan. Clearly, A$AP Rocky is a Rihanna fan also because he A$AP Knocky. That's what we need to call it. A$AP Knocky because he keep knocking her ass up. Yeah, man, I actually thought it was good. A lot of people, I guess they were expecting to do the Park Heights strut and break dance or whatever. But yeah, I don't know what they were expecting. She has hits. Anytime you can go, and I've seen some artists do it. The one that I really remember is Mary J. Blige, and this was about 20 years ago when she had already had hits. Her set, rarely any talking. Her set went from the time she hit the stage singing to the time she finished, like 45 minutes of just nonstop back-to-back jams. And that's what Rihanna did. Plus, she was elevated in the air. Her dancers were killing it. I mean, I thought it was one of the better halftime shows. Now, of course, you can do like you did last year and get several different artists and jump from artist to artist and have a whole lot of things going on. But I enjoyed that, one artist consistency singing hits. Now, if she ain't have hits, then she couldn't have done it.
Right.
But she had hits. She was killing it. Then she ended it on not ended it, but one of her last songs was Umbrella. That was my jam. I wish, well, we know it ain't gonna happen. I wish Chris Brown would have come out and did the duet to Umbrella. That was my jam. They took Chris Brown off that joint quick. You got to search to find that one, that cut with them.
Like, thank you. I'm good. This is going to be unpopular opinion. I'm not, I guess maybe it's because I'm not a Rihanna fan. I don't really know her catalog that well outside of Umbrella. Run This Town is really not her song. That's Jay-Z and Jay-Z and Kanye song. Mm-hmm. I don't really know her catalog.
Really?
And so, yeah, I don't. You know I'm hip hop all the way. And so I don't really know her catalog. I just thought the performance was mid. I understand she's pregnant. And, she can't be, she couldn't be Beyonce, and stuff. So I understand that. But I wouldn't rank it in the top 10. I mean, people coming back, oh my God, oh yes,
but
Rihanna. I
you are
that
right.
In the top 10.
You are right. You have to be a fan of hers to have enjoyed and appreciated that. Because if you don't know her catalog, then all she's doing up there is just singing, songs that she made up that day. So that is true. That is true.
Is that a new song? I ain't never heard that before. Your parents be like, "Who's that? Is that so-and-so?" Like, yes. Like, oh, I just know the one song I hear on the radio 20 times a day and stuff. But
it definitely wasn't flashy. It's not, and I can see that it would not be for everyone. Mm-hmm. But if you're a fan, if you're a fan of Rihanna and didn't enjoy it, that's when I would be like, okay, so what did she do for you not to enjoy it if you're a fan? But if you're not a huge fan, like if she's one of them, oh, she sings, it's cool, you know what I mean? Then, I get it.
Right. Yeah, so great Super Bowl all around and very solid. People were very happy. And so let's talk a little NFL hires real quick. The Ravens, which is most important to us, they hired Todd Monken, to be their offensive coordinator. He's a 34-year coaching veteran who has spent the past 3 years as Georgia's offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, helping to guide the Bulldogs to back-to-back national championships. Also, he has 8 years of NFL experience, including 4 years coordinating NFL offenses. He last led attacks for the Cleveland Browns in 2019. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 2016 through 18. And so the Ravens, they had conducted about 21 interviews with 14 candidates through a long process, and they settled on Monken and his offense the past 2 years with walk-on quarterback Stetson Bennett under center. They've ranked number 5 in the country in points per game at 39.8. And number 8 in scrimmage yards per game with 472. They posted 198 yards rushing per game, adding 273 yards passing per game. In 2022, Georgia led the nation in total net yards, total points, with Bennett throwing 27 touchdowns while rushing for 10 more. And so what do you think about the Ravens hire of Todd Monken?
So I don't really have, because it's not the splash hire that I was wanting, of course, with Eric Bieniemy. I don't really have an opinion either way. It's one of those, we'll see what happens. Now, what I will say is I didn't know he was a candidate, so I hadn't studied anything about him. But since he's been hired, just doing a little reading and a little listening to some of the commentators about it, some of the NFL analysts about it, I do like the fact that he took a Mike Evans and made him a 1,000-yard receiver for his time in Tampa. And then after he left Tampa, extended, that still held true for Mike Evans. So I'm hoping that he can do something like that for Rashad Bateman. So he definitely has the passing that we're looking for. You don't want them to leave the run, but of course, with the Ravens, you want the pass to set up the run, where under Greg Roman, the run has always supposed to set up the pass. Now, it also seems as if, just listening to the analysts and reading up on Monken, that he is into that 2 and 3 tight end set, which the Ravens seem to love. That has to be a Harbaugh thing. So sounds like he's a good fit. Now, of course, the next question is, does this work for the style that Lamar plays? You know, is Lamar going to still be, if Lamar is there, which I fully expect him to be there at least this coming season, is this going to fit his running style, or does this make him a passer? Like, does it still make Lamar Lamar? Does it still help Lamar be Lamar, who he is, what makes him the dynamic player that he is? So that's the next question, and that's the one that, you know, it's just hard to answer until you actually see the offense. You know, hopefully it's something that'll actually motivate Lamar to actually want to sign and stay in Baltimore. So we'll see what happens. What do you think about Monken?
I like him. I like the hire. He's hot coming out of college. He did well in the pros. I think, you know, we forget that Lamar came out of a pro style offense out of college. And so, you know, they really just adapted his skill set to Greg Roman's offense in terms of the pistol and, you know, the read options and everything. And so there'll still be some read option in it. But I think we've underestimated Lamar just as a pure passer. And so we're going to see. I think, you know, we always talk about, you know, they need the horses. They need to use their soldiers. And their soldiers are obviously the tight ends. And so, you know, Mark Andrews, oh my God.
Isaiah Likely.
Yeah, Isaiah Likely, Kolar, this is your opportunity. I don't know where Pat Ricard is going to fit in this offense. You know, maybe he'll just be a third down blocking specialist, maybe fourth down and all. Don't see too much off fullback use in this type of offense. I think J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, they're going to be very happy because he likes to run the ball as well, which Harbaugh loves. I just want to see what they do with the receivers. I want to hopefully Bateman and Duvernay come back healthy. And it's just going to be the key of our players going to be healthy enough to run in the system. That's all. That's what's really hampered the Ravens the last 2 seasons is injuries. The season before last, everybody was injured. And then last season, you know, you had Bateman going out midseason, and then Lamar missing the rest of the season, and Duvernay, which I think was very a major loss as well. And so can you keep these people healthy? And if you can, then you can compete. And so, you know, it just remains to be seen. Are we going to be yelling too much? You're throwing the ball too much. Because, you know, our thing was we thought the strength of the team was the run. And it seemed like they wanted to pass the ball all the time in the worst situations.
In the oddest situations.
The oddest situations, they wanted to pass the ball. And so hopefully we won't have that this upcoming season. And so, yeah, I think it's a solid hire. You know, did we want the sexy name hire like the enemy or something like that? Sure, that's sexy. But, you know, it's I won't say it's a mid hire. It's like you're taking the solid girl instead of the sexy girl. And you know, like, but she's nice and she's smart.
Yeah. If she look, well, let me use your analogy. But if she treats you right, then it don't even matter. It don't even matter. You're not even looking over your shoulder, looking back to see what could have been. As long as she treats you right. So
well, she treats me right, we're fine.
Yeah.
And so congrats to Monken. But there's been a lot of hiring going on in the NFL over the last several days, and it's been all white. I mean, it's been all right. And so if you did not know, NFL, man, they keep on doing NFL stuff, man. They love to hire white men. And so we found out over the last couple of days, the Colts, they hired the offensive coordinator from the Philadelphia Eagles, Shane Steichen. He beat out 13 other candidates to become the Colts head coach. And they said not nearly because of what he's accomplished, but because of what potential, interestingly, that he can potentially do to stabilize the organization at its most important position. And so the former offensive coordinator, he's coming in to shape that team. And the offense had one of the poorest offenses in the league this past season. And so he'll get an opportunity to change that around. And in addition, the other losing coordinator from the Super Bowl, he also got a job, Jonathan Gannon. And so he's the new head coach of the Arizona Cardinals for Lil Man. He received a 5-year contract, and the move comes after the Super Bowl. He beat out 2 other finalists for the job, Cincinnati Bengals defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo and New York Giants offensive coordinator Mike Kafka. And Gannon, who's 40, has been the Eagles defensive coordinator for the past 2 seasons. And he made an immediate impact there. He turned the Eagles into a top 10 defensive team in his first year. And this season, the Eagles were ranked number 2 in the league while boasting 2 Pro Bowlers. And so, but meanwhile, Calvin, Eric Bieniemy, he can't get a job. He can't get a head coaching job. He has to move laterally. And it's crazy how all of this is going down, that, you know, you have people that have more qualifications, more Super Bowl rings, but they can't get jobs. And so Bieniemy, it's being reported he's making a lateral move, and he's going to be going to the Washington Commanders to become their next offensive coordinator and assistant head coach. We also saw this just in the current cycle. You had several openings. I think it was 5, and only one minority coach was hired as a head coach, and that was DeMeco Ryans for the Houston Texans. You look at stuff like Jim Caldwell. Jim Caldwell is going to be a consultant on the Carolina Panthers.
I thought it was the Colts.
He was the head coach of the Colts at one point, but he's going to be a consultant on the Carolina Panthers Okay. Staff for Frank Reich. Him and this guy, Dom Capers. Now, if you look at their resumes, Reich, he's run a Super Bowl ring from his time as the offensive coordinator with the Eagles in 2017. And Dom Capers, he was a defensive coordinator the last time the Packers won the Super Bowl. But then you have Caldwell, who's going to be a senior assistant. He has 2 Super Bowl rings as a coordinator and more combined regular season and playoff wins as a head coach than Capers and Wright. And so that's just like this glitch in the system. I was looking at ESPN. They did their Anscape, which is one of their sites that focuses specifically on race and sports. Was looking at they looked at statistics in terms of minority candidates and their winning percentages when compared to other white coaches. And so they looked at the percentage of hires who recorded winning percentage of 500 or greater during their tenure. Blacks, they do just as well as white coaches. They are leading losing teams more than white coaches. So that means usually the opportunities that they get, they're going to very bad teams that they have to build up from the ground. So there's a lot of pressure to win coming in. Are minority coaches improving their teams more often than white coaches? Not necessarily, but they're landing in the hot spot more than their peers. They're, because they're on teams that are not good, they're not necessarily getting to the playoffs. And they're not getting these jobs long term. And so, and especially when you look at our minority coaches getting hired a second time more often than whites. Some do, but for the most part, they are pigeonholed into certain positions. We're seeing this trend now that these hires, you hear a lot of owners saying we want people with offensive backgrounds. When they look at the positions that most minority coaches are landing in, they're landing on the defensive side of the ball. I think, it's less than 20% of the coaches in the league are offensive coordinators. Most are defensive coordinators. And so these organizations now that's the buzzword. We want, offenses are changing. We want someone who's coming in with an offensive background. It didn't seem to matter for the Cardinals because the Cardinals went ahead and took a defensive person. But for several hires, especially the Carolina Panthers hire, you heard that as well, that, we need to go ahead and we want someone who's going to handle this offense. We need to have somebody that's an offensive coordinator. And I just think Bieniemy, he's like the poster child for this, that he's kind of like our generation's Sherm Lewis. If you remember the name Sherm Lewis was a longtime offensive coordinator, one of the first Black offensive coordinators in the NFL. He worked for the 49ers. I think he won a couple Super Bowls there. And he was on the Packers staff when they won the first Super Bowl with Favre. And this is a guy, every year when openings came, you would hear his name, Sherm Lewis. And Sherm Lewis never got a head coaching job, although he was leading offenses with Steve Young and Joe Montana and Brett Favre. He was not skilled enough or worthy enough to get a head coaching job for even the worst team. And so what do you think about this, Calvin? We know the NFL has a problem. I mean, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, of course they have a problem. And we've talked about it a lot. Now, some people may reach out and may say, well, look at the Texans. The Texans, have a recent history of hiring Black coaches, and they just did. But the Texans are in the gutter. And the Texans don't give them enough time to turn the team around. Right. The Texans give them 1 year, they get rid of them. Half a year, they get rid of them. So we're hoping that fortune changes for DeMeco Ryans. Like, give them a chance. Like, you got to give these guys a chance. What do they say? Rome wasn't built in a day. You just didn't. The teams just didn't become bad yesterday. They've been bad for a while. So you got to give them a chance to turn it around. I think one of the biggest disservices that we don't talk about enough is the Jim Caldwell Detroit Lions disservice. Jim Caldwell, at the time when it was 16 games, finished with a 9-7 record, I believe it was.
Yes.
And took the team to the wild card, but then was fired the next season for Matt Patricia, who took the same team and did absolutely nothing and was turned around and fired 2 seasons later. Like, Jim Caldwell has been done an awful disservice, but has not gotten a head coaching job since then. It's just awful. Jim Caldwell has a history. As you mentioned, he has 2 Super Bowl rings under his belt. He has a history of success, and he's been done a disservice, and I don't think we talk about that enough. You also mentioned one of the things that I wanted to point out, that, the league has made all their rules to benefit the offense, to benefit the quarterback. If you look at the Super Bowl, one of the reasons the Super Bowl was great because it was a high-scoring Super Bowl. The NFL wants the high-scoring teams and games. But what do the Cardinals do? The Cardinals go out and hire a defensive guy. When you have a Kyler Murray, and Eric Bieniemy has been coaching Patrick Mahomes for the past 5 years, has made Patrick Mahomes, has helped make, and let me not say made completely, but has helped make Patrick Mahomes the best quarterback in the NFL and a surefire Hall of Famer already. But instead of bringing this guy in to help with Kyler Murray, who's been underserved with Cliff Kingsbury, you bring in a defensive guy? It makes sense. It makes no sense. Why are we not giving Eric Bieniemy a good chance at success? Not just any chance. This Commanders job, and it's really not about the state of the Commanders, but it is about the state of the Commanders. They're trying to sell the team, so you don't even know who the ownership is going to be. The team is bad, and the team doesn't have a quarterback. They don't have a quarterback. Wentz is horrible. Heineke is okay, but you got this guy, Sam Howell, who's a rookie. And listen, if Bieniemy can turn them around, then they're going to be like, oh, he's the great, and they'll probably fire Rivera and give Bieniemy the job. But why did he have to go through that? He should have been able to go from Kansas City to a head coaching job. And I'm also looking at you, Ravens. Like, I mean,
Come on.
maybe Munkins might be the better candidate, but who's the more proven candidate right now? You know what I mean? Like, now, what I will say, and it's not in the Ravens' defense, what I will say is the Ravens could have likely said, listen, we'll bring you in as our O coordinator, but what are your aspirations? And Bieniemy could have been like, yeah, I'm trying to be a head coach, which means that's 1 year, maybe 2 years, hopefully, and then he's gone. So they could be looking for more consistency. So I will say that. But it's no guarantee that Munkin, if he turns it around, is going to stay.
They've done it before. Do you remember they had Leslie Frazier on the staff? Mm-hmm. They had Steve Spagnuolo on the staff. I'm talking about the Ravens. And they both had desires to be head coaches. And so it doesn't, I think for certain things, it doesn't make a difference. One of the things you keep hearing is, well, they don't call plays. Bieniemy didn't call plays. Well, it didn't seem to stop Matt Nagy from getting the job when he was offensive coordinator there, or Doug Peterson from getting the job when he was offensive coordinator there. They didn't call plays either. Nathaniel Hackett, who was just fired as the Broncos head coach, when he was with the Packers, he didn't call plays there either. And so it doesn't seem to stop certain people with the right complexion to get the job, because it doesn't make any difference. Then if they call plays, whatever they do, they can get it. I mean, Mike McDaniel, he got a head coaching job, although he identifies as biracial, but he didn't call plays out there in San Francisco. And so I'm going to read a list of names to you, and these are all minority coaches with over a 500 winning percentage. We know Mike Tomlin's the best. He has 64%. Lovie Smith, Jim Caldwell, Ron Rivera, Marvin Lewis, Anthony Lynn. Now, out of those names that I named, only one has a job in the NFL right now, and he's a senior consultant assistant. And that's, Mike Tomlin, he's a head coach, but Jim Caldwell
and Ron Rivera,
two names, and still the coach of the Commanders. Marvin Lewis won in Cincinnati, to me, which is one of the most difficult things to do. No, he did not take them to two AFC championships and all of those particular things, but he basically turned that organization around. He legitimized them. He can't get a job in the NFL, Calvin. As a matter of fact, he had to do the same thing Bieniemy had to do by taking a lateral move. He wins a Super Bowl in Baltimore, could not get a head coaching job from that, and he has to take a DC job with the Redskins at that point to prove himself. Anthony Lynn, he won in Los Angeles. He's got to be better than the coach out there that's there now that blew that playoff game. He can't get a job. And so to me, it's crazy. You've had successful coaches and they can't get jobs. Lovie Smith, yes, I know that was a bad team last season, but he's proven to be able to. You got to
give him a chance. Yeah.
You got to give him a chance.
You got to give him a chance.
And so, yeah, I like the league, and a lot of times we talk about, and it's worse, and I've already said this in some of our past conversations, it's worse on the collegiate level. You think this is crazy. In college, they ain't hiring no black men. And so it's got to start somewhere. And, it's got to start with these teams in the NFL. But, last season I thought, okay, well, maybe we need more black GMs. And we got a couple black GMs, and they went out and hired white men. And so it can't be.
They love that interracial relationship.
Yeah, and it can't be we need GMs of color, because the GMs of color went right out and hired men with no color. And so,
and let me let me back up and say one thing real quick about Marvin Lewis. Now, I'm going to have to give the Cincinnati Bengals a little credit, and it cringes my body to do so. When Marvin Lewis first got there, before the Andy Dalton and the AJ Greens, the Cincinnati Bengals were losing.
Yeah.
And there was a period they were losing again. I felt like they held on to Marvin Lewis so long. Like they gave him opportunity and it worked out for him. But I thought they should have been fired him. I just remember thinking, is this what they mean by reverse racism? Because Marvin Lewis should be gone. These records but it worked out for him. He later in his career, he got more success than they've ever had. Now, of course, they've moved on from that and they've built even better. But yeah, that was all Marvin Lewis. But I'll give the Bengals credit on that. I thought they held on to Marvin Lewis too long, and I was wrong there. It actually worked out well for them.
Yeah, towards the end, it was kind of bad, and they had to rebuild and all of those particular things. But I mean, he had that team in the heyday. Carson Palmer, Ocho, Who's Your Mama?
If it's not for that hit, first offensive play of the game from the Steelers, I think the Bengals may have gone to the AFC Championship that year, and that derailed Carson Palmer's career. Like he was never the same. Then he just wanted out from Cincinnati, and he went to the Cardinals and had some mid success there. So,
yeah, I think did he finish up with the Raiders?
I'm not sure where
I'm sure. I have to look that up. I think he might have did like a season in Oakland, and then that was it after he did the Cardinals. All right. Well, so the hires, great NFL season, another poor hiring cycle, and I just don't think people can explain this away. It's just not. They keep moving. It's like Charlie Brown trying to kick the football with Lucy. She puts it down and he runs from behind the tree. He knows he's going to kick it this time. And he goes and she pulls it away and he lines up. And so that's been Eric Bieniemy. He balled like Charlie Brown too. And
got a big head like Charlie Brown.
He got a big head like NFL's Charlie Brown. And so, they keep moving the ball, man. They keep moving the goalposts. And one day, maybe before our lifetime is over, we'll see a cycle where more than one minority coach is given a head coaching job. That must be that's the limit. If you go above one, then the earth is maybe the aliens are coming. That's a sign that aliens are coming. They give more than one job to a minority coach. Let's go ahead and transition to the NBA a little bit. It's NBA All-Star weekend this weekend, and so as they know, it's the Black Family Reunion, as they call it, and it's out in Utah of all places. And so I'm sure they're not up in the strip club. It probably ain't no strip club.
I was about to say, is there a strip club in Utah somewhere?
There's barely any soda out there, because there's too much sugar in that, that's against their dietary laws. And so you probably can't even get it. You probably had to drink straight Coke Zeros out there. It probably ain't no. They had to ship in the brown liquor. They probably shipped in the strippers and all of that for this weekend. And they've turn a blind eye so we can get these black.
They had to sign an executive order for the weekend just so stuff can stay open past 7:00.
It was like the World Cup over there in Qatar. There was no alcohol involved. You could not be out there having sex and stuff like that. And so they probably had the same rules in Utah. And so they kind of had to all right, look, we let y'all have a beer, but not too many beers. All right. And so it's the GOAT's birthday weekend, Michael Jordan. 60. Yeah, it turned 60th birthday and all, MJ. And to celebrate, he's donating $10 million to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And so it's the largest donation ever received from an individual in the organization's 43-year history. And Jordan's hope is that this decision to celebrate his birthday by donating to Make-A-Wish will inspire others to help fulfill the wishes of kids still waiting for their wishes to come true. And this is a statement from Jordan. For the past 34 years, it's been an honor to partner with Make-A-Wish and help bring a smile and happiness to so many kids. Witnessing their strength and resilience during such a tough time in their lives has truly been an inspiration. And so he's granted hundreds of wishes to children all over the world and remains one of the most requested celebrity wish granters. He was named Make-A-Wish Chief Wish Ambassador in 2008 for the organization. Called the life-changing impact he has had on Wish kids and their families. And so, what did you think about this benevolence from MJ?
So good for MJ, because there is a false meme always going around with Michael Jordan that says "fuck them kids," and for all of you that don't know, it is a false. He never said that.
Yes, he did.
So good for Michael Jordan.
Out his mouth, he like,
good for Michael Jordan. Shout out to the GOAT.
That story comes from one of his basketball camps. He had a bet, like if he lost a one-on-one challenge or if a kid scored on him, everybody would get Jordans at the camp. And he was like, "What? They get these Jordans." He was swatting the kids, shot out the gym.
Listen, I'm not saying he wasn't thinking it, but he's never been on record as actually saying it. Y'all need to stop it. But good for the GOAT, man. Michael Jordan has been, especially if you're in our age bracket, Michael Jordan has been your number one basketball player pretty much all your life. There was the bad boy era and the Laker era before that, but yeah, Michael Jordan has been it for most of our life. So shout out to him. People still out here rocking J's. If I can, I'm gonna sign up for Make-A-Wish Foundation, get some of that 10 million. They're gonna ask me my wish. They're gonna be like, "Who you want to meet?" I don't want to meet none of them. I'm wishing to get some of these Jordans. Let me get some of them Michaels. Let me get some of them J's.
Get some J's.
You know you're on camera, right? You know you're on. You know,
I know you the best it up.
The views and videos that you see on ATB presents Fanboys are not necessarily my vieys. Hey, we're gonna get canceled already. We just got the damn video.
Michael will be like, "Fuck that good." Anyway, it's All-Star Weekend, and so I do you follow the skills challenge, the dunk contest, 3-point shot?
Not really. If I watch anything, it'll be the celebrity game, which I think came on last night, but I didn't.
Yeah, that was last night.
Yeah, I didn't even watch.
Did you watch it?
No, I didn't watch that. I kept seeing people talking about Janelle Monáe guarding her own team. So clearly she don't know how to play basketball. But no, I didn't watch any of it.
I don't know what she was doing out there. I was like, "What? What's Janelle Monáe? What?" Because she had showed this thing. She was, trying to learn the game, and she was out there dribbling and stuff and trying to get herself together for the game. And so when I saw her out there, I was like, "Who's the girl out there with the sunglasses on?" I just happened to see it up on the screen last night. And then I was like, I put two and two together. And I was like, "Oh, this Janelle Monáe out there. She just out there clowning. She don't know what she's doing."
I'm gonna have to see some clips of this. I like Janelle Monáe.
Yeah. She now I do know Janelle Monáe's music, and so if she gets out there and she does a halftime show, I can say, "Oh wow, I do know a little bit of her game," and so I have her catalog, and so I will have to say that I can enjoy that show. Now, the skills challenge, you're going to have the Antetokounmpo boys with Giannis and his brothers. That's the only reason why the other brother, his name is Giannis, but what's the Marvel character that was getting the Infinity Stones? I was getting ready to call him that.
God. Oh, man. I was just talking about him.
Y'all.
I can't even remember his name. Dang. You got me. The Brolin boy played him. Josh Brolin played him. Why can't I remember his name? I can't.
Thanos.
Jeez. I'm getting old, man.
Yeah, so his brother Thanos, they're in the skill challenge. Utah Jazz, they got Jordan Clarkson. And Colin Sexton, I know who he is, and Walker Kessler. And you have the rookies from a couple different teams are are in that. And so that's going to be fun to watch. They usually have some good stuff. The slam dunk contest, though, Kenyon Martin Jr., his dad was a great dunker.
His dad was a monster.
Yeah, his dad was a monster dunker. Trey Murphy III. You got Jericho Sims. I've seen him dunk on a couple people. He plays for the Knicks. And, they had to go find a white boy that could jump. And so they went and found Mac McClung. He played for about 20 college teams. He was at Georgetown for a minute. Shout out to Stephanie. I know that
Rockwood's team.
Yeah, Rockwood's team and stuff. And so she probably has a good commentary about Mac. And he plays for, I didn't even know he was in the league. He's on the 76ers. And so he's going to be in the dunk contest. As a matter of fact, the judges are Jamal Crawford, Lisa Leslie, Carl Malone, your boy. And talk about fuck them kids.
It's forever fuck Carl Malone. Forever fuck Carl Malone.
Fuck them kids. He fucking kids. And so you got Carl Malone. Sorry. It's the truth, though.
We just got this new platform.
It's not going to last long. Harold Miner. Oh, my God. Where they find Harold
Baby
Miner
Jordan. Where they find Harold Miner at? Wait a minute.
It's somewhere they found Harold Miner. Why?
Where Baby Jordan come from? Harold Miner, what was he? He was at USC. They was called the Baby USC. Jordan. Came out and played with the Heat for a couple years. They never heard from him since then.
Ate his way out the league.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm like, what? They went and found Harold Miner somewhere.
But he was a dunker. That's why they called him Baby Jordan.
Baby Jordan. And you got Dominique Wilkins, who's going to be also. Now, Dominique, the human highlight film. That boy, he dunking on you. He embarrass you. And so, I really don't pay too much attention to the game. This is kind of like the glorified Pro Bowl in the sense like the NFL and stuff. The dunk contest, sometimes if I'm just home on Saturday and I'll be like, oh, wow, there's something on. And I flick like, oh, wow, I didn't realize the dunk contest was on. And so is this must-see TV for you? Are you going to have like a sandwich? I know you don't eat Reubens. I was going to say because you say Reubens are overrated. You going to have some chips or something and a soda watching the game?
Oh. I didn't say Reubens were overrated.
You said some sandwich was overrated.
I said what the guy make at the Jewish place on Baltimore, not Baltimore Street, on Lombard Street.
Lombard Street.
The thick sandwiches that he made.
Yeah, that's a Reuben.
Nah, it's not a Reuben. It's what's the meat?
Corned beef sandwich?
Corned beef is overrated. Reubens are grilled cheese with corned beef. Reubens are not overrated. Reubens are excellent with the little sauerkraut in it. Reubens are excellent.
Yeah, okay, all right.
The corned beef sandwich itself is overrated. So corned beef is overrated.
I'll go with you. And so, is this going to be appointment TV for you?
Absolutely not. So I'm not. And I like the NBA, but the All-Star game, although I think we talked about this earlier this year or last year, I do like that they pick the teams now. That makes it a little more interesting, but it's still not must-see TV. When it comes to the skills contest, I could take it or leave it. It's something they added. I didn't think it was going to last, but I think the skills contest has been rolling for 15 years now. The dunk contest, gone are the Jordans and the Dominiques and the Vince Carters, not even the Kenny Skywalkers. Remember Kenny Skywalker won the dunk contest?
Yeah, I remember that.
I just haven't been interested in the dunk contest in a lot of years. And it's no knock on the players because there's only so many things you can do with the ball in the air. So they try to get creative. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So yeah, I'm not. NBA All-Star Weekend is more about the celebrities and who's there for me as opposed to the actual activities.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about baseball real quick before we close out. Just want to acknowledge the O's. Spring training is in session and pitchers and catchers reported this week. The Orioles, unfortunately, is starting off spring training with a couple of the pitchers on the injured list: Dylan Tate, DL Hall, and Felix Bautista. But it's early, and they should be back in April and all. And so But something very important happened. The Angelos brothers, they decided to stop suing each other. It was reported last week by the Baltimore Sun that the lawsuits filed last year pitting younger son Louis Angelos against his brother John, the Orioles chairman and CEO, and their mother Georgia were withdrawn. The attorneys for all three family members, as well as a court-appointed lawyer for Peter Angelos, signed a motion to end the cases. And so the 4-page document that was filed provides no detail of why or how the cases were settled. But family members and their lawyers, they declined to comment or did not return requests for comment to the Sun. And so this is good news for the Orioles. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, anything that focuses on the field and not the things going on out the field is good news for any organization, but especially a team like the Orioles that they came off a really good season, one of the best seasons they've had in the last 10, 15 years. We're starting to see some life in this team, and there's a buzz going around the city about the Orioles actually being a contender nowadays. They're even getting national recognition that they could be a contender within the next. Actually, I saw something that had them going in the World Series within the next 4 or 5 years. So, it's definitely, you don't want any distractions, and that kind of stuff is a distraction. Now, of course, the next thing is to make sure that they stay in Baltimore. So, they're just going to have to sign that Camden Yards lease, which they just turned down. But I think we talked about this before. I think that's something that's normal. I think I've seen a lot of teams, they want long-term leases. So when they're trying to get them to sign 4 and 5 years, I think these teams look for like 10 and 15-year leases. They want long-term. They don't want to have to keep signing something every few years, because in sports, 5 years goes like a minute in an instant. Fast. You just, never know. So yeah, let's focus on the field and get away from all this litigation off the diamond and all.
I agree with you. I was saying, I think these litigation was really affecting their ability to sign free agents. Right. And I think the determination of if they're going to be committed to Baltimore and staying in Baltimore is key in terms of bringing major free agents here. I think getting that lease done is major. They're not going to be able to move. Major League Baseball is not going to let them move out of Camden Yards. No Absolutely way, no how. Not. Yeah. And so, it's too much of a cash cow. It would not happen.
And Baltimore is a baseball city. As much as we love our Ravens, Baltimore is actually a baseball city. For those that don't know, we are an Orioles city.
Yeah. And so, because we ain't had nothing else for all them years. Exactly. And so, I think it's good. Now I want to see what happens with the Masson suit. They're in litigation with the Washington Nationals over Masson money.
When are they not in litigation with the Nationals and Masson?
So that's supposed to have been settled. It was recommended that they pay one fee. They appealed it, and then the fee was lowered, and they appealed that again, talking about the Orioles. And so there's been a back and forth about it, and so hopefully that get resolved as well, because the Nationals are up for sale, as a matter of fact, this season. And so a lot of shifting in baseball, and we're going to get back to baseball once we get closer to the start of the regular season. But we just wanted to mention that there are people down in Florida throwing the ball around.
Manny Machado said he's going to opt out next year. Come on, Orioles. Let's go bring Manny back. Bring Manny back in the fold.
What you say when you quit your old girlfriend or your old girlfriend quit you? I don't go backwards.
Let's go back and get Manny. Let's go get him. He gonna want a whole lot of money, but let's go get him.
Manny gonna go with them dollars. That's true. That's in the major media center. What I tell you, when they want them paydays, Baltimore ain't paying no crazy deal like that.
Manny signed a 10-year deal. He opted out and was like, "Yeah, markets changed." Like Manny, I needs mine. He finished second in the MVP voting. He needs his. I'm not mad at him. Get your money. I'm all for the players.
He's been playing second banana to the guy was playing shortstop out there.
Was Tatis? But then Tatis had to get shelled.
He out there. Yeah, he out there on the motorbike and doing all this, that, and the other, crashing into stuff. But, they really, to me, Manny's the man. He's really your top player on that team.
He really is.
Was, playing at a peak level. Manny's always been playing at a peak level. And so, Yeah, go get your money. As in words of Calvin Coates, go get your money.
Go get your money, son.
So go get your money. And ain't gonna be in Baltimore, but go get your money. All right, man. It's coming to come on, yo. And you want to lead us off? Or you want me to lead us off?
Yeah. For anyone that's just joining, especially if you're seeing us for the first time on video, Come On, Yo is our little segment where, we just give an opinion and then we talk about the people that don't agree with the opinion. Like, y'all know y'all tripping. So we just say, come on, yo. So my come on, yo is about our boy, Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is in a position where he's damned if he do, he's damned if he don't. I'm going to tell you, and this may be an unpopular opinion, definitely coming from me and to all of my Baltimore people. If I'm Lamar Jackson, after this franchise year, I'm looking to go somewhere else. Because if I go out and I don't win one game, oh, you damn sure don't deserve that money. If I throw one interception, oh, and you want a fully guaranteed contract? Because I haven't signed, oh, Lamar don't care about nothing but himself. He need to get rid of his mama as his agent. And you know what? We should go out and get David Carr or we can get anybody but Lamar Jackson. He ain't that good anyway. And this is from Ravens fans. This is
crazy.
Why should I put my neck on the line for a city whose fans don't even appreciate? You're not even supporting me. In my time of need, y'all not even supporting me. Oh, he just stay injured. It's like, what is he supposed to do? I read a guy said, in my job, we take a discount so other people can get paid. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. You lied. There is not a soul in this country, and I don't care who you are, unless you're making millions and millions of dollars. If you make it in the 100,000s or the 10,000s, you are not taking a pay cut so somebody else can get paid. You like, oh, that's on them. Right. And if another job offers you more, you're going to leave your job for them. But y'all want loyalty from Lamar Jackson. Y'all want a hometown discount. He ain't even from here. Y'all want him to give y'all a hometown discount. Stop.
From West Baltimore.
Stop shitting on Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has been nothing but humble for this city. He's been loyal to this city. He ain't talked bad about Greg Roman. When people drop passes, you see him just do one of them and he'll blame himself. Right. But y'all calling him selfish because he wants to get paid. Yeah, I know the Cleveland Browns messed up and paid Deshaun Watson, but is that Lamar's fault? That ain't his fault. So, but that's where the market is now. So that's what I want. And should he get it? It remains to be seen if he should, if he shouldn't. Who cares? But my thing is, at least support the man. Stop calling him selfish because he's trying to get what the market can bear. Stop talking. And so let's say he does get the money. So now he get the money and he's on a long-term contract. If he don't win the Super Bowl every year, oh man, I don't know why we signed him. So we got 5 more years of this bullshit. Cause that's how y'all, come on, y'all. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Y'all don't remember the days of the Stoney Cases, the Vinny Testaverdes, the Eric Zayas. What's my guy? The Kyle Bowlers, the Elvis Gerback. So y'all don't remember them days. You Ravens fans are spoiled. I know Flacco gave us a championship. Even when Trent Dilfer gave us a championship, Ravens fans are so spoiled that Brian Billick was like, we don't even need him no more. We're going to go ahead and get Elvis Gerback, who cried in a game. He cried one game and then quit the next year. Bro. Come on, y'all. Hey, support Lamar. No matter what he does, just support him. Stop talking bad about him on social media, Ravens fans. That's why every other fan in the NFL looks and be, Ravens fans are the worst fans ever. Sometimes I have to agree with him. Anyway, that's Tony it. Just come on, y'all. Leave him alone.
Tony Banks. I agree with you, yo. I heard someone say on the radio the other day, let's trade Lamar and get the quarterback from Tennessee, University of Tennessee, Hendon, and then also get his receiver because, they played well together in college. And so I said, okay, so they want a guy who's coming off an ACL injury that might not even play this year. And he had to transfer to Tennessee to get to play. And he had 1 year, good year. We're trying to get to a Super Bowl. This is a team built for the Super Bowl.
Built for the Super Bowl.
You want to trade away one of the best players in the league for a guy that's like a third or fourth round pick at best?
Like I say, if for whatever reason the Ravens want to trade Lamar, they need to get a ready-made starting quarterback along with either his top or a top wide receiver. You can't trade him just for draft picks and think you're going to continue what you already have because you're going to start over again. No, you got to get something strong. I wasn't a David Carr fan. You can't trade for him now, but if you were going to trade for him, you needed David Carr and Devontae Adams. You needed both of them. You had to have both of them. So anyway, that's my come on, yo. I'm not going to go into any more commentary on it.
All right, okay, yeah, because you got to get ready to go. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. I'm gonna go a different route with my come on, yo, today. All right, so let me play something to start us off. That's the magic number. Yes, it is. It's the magic number. Here's some De La Soul in the background. That's the magic number by De La Soul. And I want to acknowledge the passing of David Jude Joliser. Some of you may know him better as Trugoy the Dove or Plug 2 or just Dave from one of hip hop's greatest groups, De La Soul. De La Soul, which was comprised of Trugoy, and if you didn't know, Trugoy is the word yogurt spelled backwards, Posthumous, and Maceo. They had their debut in 1988 with their first singles, Plug Tuning and Potholes in My Lawn, which was great songs. I remember the first time I heard those songs. From their first album, 3 Feet High and Rising, not only was the group known for their eclectic sampling and strange lyrics, but also they pioneered the album skit on rap records. As a matter of fact, that was probably one of the highlights of their releases was the skits on things, and so love that. And so De La Soul, they were also members of a hip-hop collective, Native Tongues, and they won a Grammy for their collaboration with Gorillaz on the song Feel Good Incorporated. In the last years of his life, Dave was diagnosed with congestive heart failure and had to wear a life vest defibrillator machine to counteract his symptoms. And on February, if you saw the Grammys this year, De La Soul took a part in a special performance for the 50 years of hip hop at the 65th annual Grammy Awards, performing their song Buddy. But Dave was not on stage with his group mates to do that, and he passed away several days later. And so for the hip hop community, I was real kind of shocked when I got the news on Sunday. It was right before the Super Bowl that you start seeing a lot of posts about Dave and his passing. I'm not going to sit here like, oh, yeah, he was one of the top 10 lyricists of all times. He was not. But he was one of the greatest groups, definitely a top 10, if not a top 5 group in hip hop. Just their style, what they did, they were trendsetters. It's kind of like losing a friend, losing a brother, growing up with their music, growing up with them as artists, and then even seeing them perform as older men. I got a chance to see them perform with the Roots at one of the Roots picnics several years ago. And it was an outstanding performance. They always were great live. And so just a shout out to his family, shout out to the hip hop community as we begin to get older and we see some of our stars and some of our people transition onto the next life. We always have their music. I'm just a little sad because their catalog was not available on streaming platforms and it won't be available for another 3 weeks. And so was looking forward to the release of those things and hopefully they can start capitalizing on their catalog to get the streams and get that streaming money because they've been in a battle with their former record label for years. And so it's unfortunate you can't go online and pull up a lot of their music because it's just not available right now. And so unless you were a collector and you have it, then you can go ahead and pull out your cassette tapes or your CDs and listen. But, thank you, Dave, for the great music. Thank you for the energy you brought to the group. This definitely affects what happens going forward with De La Soul in terms of touring and making more albums and all. Maybe they do the same thing that A Tribe Called Quest did after losing Fife. And so thank you, Dave, for the music, man. Thank you for the great times. Thank you for the great memories. So come on, yo.
Yeah, man. And for those, unless you were been living under a rock all your life and you're our age, the one song that Garland didn't mention is probably the one that most people would know, which would be Me, Myself, and I. Mirror, mirror
myself, and
on
I.
the wall. Tell me, mirror, what is wrong? Can it be my De La Soul or is it just my De La song? I mean, come on now.
Yes.
Didn't one of the other members pass away not recently, maybe not. But his son actually played for the Rams.
Yeah. It was Maceo. His son, he had some depression issues, and
that's what it was.
Because he was at Auburn and all, and so it was his son. It was Maceo's son.
Okay.
But Dave. So Dave.
But yeah, man. So yeah, De La Soul, as you mentioned, they were part of Native Tongues, and Native Tongues did bring you Tribe, Moni Love. That movement was just that movement, that hip hop movement was like that neo soul R&B movement. They were all along that same line. So yeah,
Chi Ali, all of those great groups.
Definitely rest well.
Jungle Brothers.
I forgot about Chi Ali.
Which
brings you up to Black Sheep and
Black Sheep.
Man.
Jungle Brothers, Jim Browski, all that stuff, man.
About the Jungle Brothers.
Come on now.
But yeah, so anyway, we want definitely thank you for joining us. Make sure you join us. We might do this Tuesday. Did you watch BMF yet? I watched it last night.
I need to go and pull it up.
Okay,
I did not watch.
It's a very good episode. So we might jump on Tuesday. We do the broadcast on Tuesdays where we talk about the most recent BMF episode. If we don't do it this Tuesday, then we'll do it the following Tuesday and we'll cover two. Make sure you join us again with our podcast, ATB presents Fanboys. We definitely appreciate you all for joining us. Make sure you rate us, review us. Tell us if you like the format, if you like the video, if you're not watching the video. It's a good thing. We trying to do some bigger things here in the 23. So
I mean, I'm gonna have to make sure my haircut is straight.
Like Garland say, he gotta get the bippy. I don't have no hair. I got. I might.
Yes,
start.
King. Yes.
Thank you, Garland.
Okay, haircut.
Thank you, Garland. I see you, Garland.
When dude hit me that coming out the barbershop one day, I was like,
I'd have been that ain't me, sir. My name John. All right, John.
All right, John. You sure hit me with okay, haircut.
Hey, we thank you all for joining us. This is All Things Black. All Things Black. This is ATB presents Fanboys. I'm Calvin. That guy over there is Garland. And we will talk to you all next week. Later, man.
Peace. You have been listening to Fanboys, an All Things Black with Garland and Calvin production. Thank you for listening. And make sure to rate and review this episode on all of your podcast platforms.